Hello everyone. Welcome to my YNR 24 spoilers. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Cain wants to make amends. Is Devon being a hypocrite? The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Cain Ashby hasn't decided to press ahead with his takeover ambitions. But it could happen if he can't gain a genuine hope of reconciling with Lily Winters in the near future. The demise of his marriage with Lily happened years ago in real and soap life. Viewers know that the character Daniel Goddard played departed Genoa City, Wisconsin, in quest of his father. Finding Colin Atkinson proved to be a mixed gift. The father and son overcome their differences, and Colin presented a rich gift to Cain that significantly impacted the path of his life and now many others. How long should Cain Ashby wait? Cain is persistent in saying that his dad repented himself before dying. Jill Abbott was at the chateau in France during the last days of Colin's life and agreed with Cain. Victor Newman believes otherwise and also doesn't care what Colin's purported change of heart meant. He believes Colin stole an old lady's inheritance and gave it to Cain, who used it to construct a doomsday artificial intelligence program. Whether Cain employs the program that can reportedly override any company's computer security system remains to be seen. Whether the AI technology lives up to the hype is a fascinating question. But a greater one is how long Cain will give Lily to make her ultimate decision regarding him. Lily Winters has legitimate considerations. Lily still cares for Cain. Everyone on both sides of the screen, even Cain, feels that. But whether the strong love she once felt, the tie they share through the twins, and who Cain has become permits her to provide redemption is a very hard problem. Add to that, many people have been negatively influenced by Cain's behavior since disclosing his Aristotle Dumas character. The twins were upset by their father's dishonesty and couldn't understand why he hid his development, or whatever one wants to call it, from them. Lily's mother instincts and instinctive defense of her children are overriding elements that are impacting her current judgment. Devon Winters wronged Amanda Sinclair. Devon Winters often presents a bitter disposition, except for the occasions when he's with his wife, Abby Newman Winters, and their son, Dominic Winters. Nate Hastings' Sean Dominic, career as a surgeon, was ruined by Devon's sucker punch because he was dating Elena Dawson. The late Chance Chancellor felt profoundly insulted when Devon had an affair with his then-wife, Abby. Plus, Chance was a good stepfather to Dom, something Devon can't deny. Abby's indiscretion with Devon has another victim. Her name was Devon's then-girlfriend, Amanda Sinclair, who is the twin sister of his late wife, Hillary Curtis Hamilton. So, Devon is looking down at Cain and doesn't want Lily to offer him any grace. Yet, Devon pursued such for himself in the past referenced scenarios. Some, though not all, would fairly label that as hypocrisy. Devon puts Cain in his place, and Tessa kisses Daniel. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, October 21st suggest that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, takes a risk while Tessa Porter lets her hair down amid her marriage difficulties. Last week, Tessa went to visit Mariah Copeland in her rehab center. It was stunning how non-communicative and wan Mariah looked and acted. She had no life in her, and Tessa was compelled to bottom-line her. After Tessa's visit to Mariah in Boston, she hits the bottle for comfort. And that is where Daniel comes in. Our mess. Daniel finds Tessa a hot mess at the GCAC and proposes, sleeping it off in a suite. Tessa agrees and places a big kiss on a stunned Daniel. Daniel has feelings for his teacher, but has the sense of propriety to recognize that this is inappropriate. We predict that Daniel stops Tessa, who is inebriated and will be full of regret in the morning. Or will she? Cain Ashby and his big choo-choo. Meanwhile, Cain Ashby seeks to squash disputes with Devon Winters, Brighton James. Smooth move Cain, one that Devon sees straight through. On some level, Cain may assume that by cozying up to Devon, Lily and their twins will forgive him. Fat luck. Anyone who knows Devon knows that the drama king never met a grudge he didn't adore. Devon's remark could bust Cain's bubble. He has a lot of work to do to repair his reputation and become a family man again. But he has trains on all 7 continents. Phyllis gets flaky. Elsewhere, Phyllis takes a tremendous risk. That isn't that weird, but this following bombshell is. She's gaining a love interest soon. Red Hot the Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Phyllis is set to find an unexpected romance on the horizon. This begs the question, who is the lucky guy? Do you think she and Cain will give in to suffering and have porous sex? If this happens, their commercial cooperation becomes much more challenging. But we all know that Big Red never shies away from controversy or affection. This is a growing story, so stay back for updates on Phyllis' next bombshell. Tessa's bold move, Cain and Devon connect Mariah's mental health. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. In the following episode, fans may expect Tessa Porter to make a big move. Cain Ashby tries to make things right with Devon Winters. Plus, Phyllis Summers places a hazardous gamble. Let's discuss the upcoming events in the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. Mariah Copeland's mental health. Let's start off with Taraya. Fans know that Tessa just flew to Boston to visit Mariah Copeland. The redhead is seeking mental health treatment after trying to kill a guy. However, when the singer went to see her wife, she was caught off surprise. The brunette added that Mariah doesn't seem to be getting better, but worse. Then, Mariah maintained that she had to go on this voyage by herself. Read more. Discover the events of YNR's most recent episode. Tessa Porter's bold move. After Tessa ripped up the Queen of Hearts card and left the clinic, she headed back to the hotel. In a weekly preview film, Tessa stumbles while climbing up the stairs. Since Daniel Jr. is right there, he rescues an intoxicated Tessa from collapsing. After he catches her fall, Tessa rushes over to offer him a passionate kiss. Read this. YNR spoilers. GH chemistry tested as Claire seduces crooked cop. While Daniel does have love feelings for Tessa, he also knows that her heart still beats for Mariah. So, I'm not sure if Daniel will return the kiss, at least not now. Devon Winters and Cain Ashby's connection. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, October 21st hint that Cain will connect with Devon. Apparently, the tycoon seeks to make amends to the music label owner. However, I can't see Devon trusting Cain at this moment. The young man will likely tell the tycoon to quit talking and prove it. Read this. YNR spoilers next 2 weeks. Ian haunts Mariah, Sienna, and Nick connect. Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. In the upcoming episode, fans may also expect Phyllis to take a significant risk. This might have anything to do with Christine Blair's wedding. It could also have something to do with Cain's goal to gain redemption by exploiting AI. Cain told her to come up with some pitches, and she replied she would. So, what is the grand plan, and is it really feasible for Cain to gain redemption after all of this? What does this entail for the rest of the characters and their companies? Is there any chance for Cain to get out of the quagmire he's currently in? Cain wants to make amends. Is Devon being a hypocrite? The world of the Young and the Restless has never been short of redemption arcs, betrayals, and moral hypocrisy. Among the show's most convoluted relationships stands the tight interplay between Cain Ashby and Devon Winters. 2 men whose lives are connected not only through familial links, but also through profound emotional wounds and lasting mistrust. The conundrum at the center of this current storyline, whether Cain can truly make apologies and whether Devon's rejection of him is ethically consistent, cuts to the core of what YNR has always explored: forgiveness, hypocrisy, and the cyclical nature of human folly. Cain Ashby's crossroads between redemption and self-destruction. Cain Ashby stands at a moral and emotional crossroads. Years after the collapse of his marriage to Lily Winters, Cain finds himself battling with the ramifications of his previous deceptions and the decisions that have defined him. Once a man marked by charm, ambition, and a true, if flawed, desire to establish a family, Cain has become typical of the fallen hero archetype, a man whose genius has been corrupted by desperation, ego, and mistaken allegiance. Cain's plot has developed from that of a misunderstood husband to something far more existential. Having formerly assumed the fictitious name of Aristotle Dumas, Cain's secrets nearly ruined his family. His escape from Genoa City in search of his father, Colin Atkinson, the late Tristan Rogers, launched a new chapter of tragedy and chance. When Colin left Cain with an unexpected inheritance, one related to a fortune that Victor Newman claims was stolen, Cain's moral dilemma deepened. Now, with the revelation that this riches sponsored the construction of a doomsday artificial intelligence program, Cain's redemption arc takes on new, potentially disastrous implications. Is Cain a visionary entrepreneur aiming to improve his reputation through technical innovation? Or is he, once again, on the edge of repeating his father's sins under the garb of progress? Jill Abbott's idea that Colin redeemed himself before death provides emotional context for Cain's own need for absolution. To Cain, if Colin, a guy of unending machinations and betrayals, could achieve peace, then perhaps he, too, might rewrite his past. Yet atonement in Genoa City is seldom simple, and forgiveness is often transactional. Cain's quest, therefore, is not simply to win Lily's love again, but to reassert his moral identity in a world that has long since stopped believing in him. Lily Winters, the guardian of the past and the judge of redemption. Lily Winters remains the emotional and moral anchor of Cain's path. Once the personification of warmth, compassion, and undying love, Lily has become wary, even cynical, in the wake of Cain's betrayals. Her difficulty is not rooted in apathy, but in exhaustion, the kind of fatigue that comes from years of emotional effort and disappointment. Lily's love for Cain has always been conflicted. She recognizes his propensity for goodness. She's witnessed it firsthand. But she also knows his propensity for dishonesty and the havoc that ensues. The twins, whose confidence in their father was broken when they discovered of his hidden identity, represent a living reminder of Cain's moral faults. For Lily, forgiveness cannot be unconditional, not when her children have already endured the effects of his falsehoods. Yet, beneath Lily's steely veneer lurks a conflicted heart. Soap operas rely on emotional inconsistencies, and Lily's inner anguish conveys that well. Her maternal instincts push her toward protection, but her leftover love for Cain tempts her toward reunion. The question becomes, can she trust a man who once built his life on secrets? And more importantly, can she love him without surrendering her dignity and peace? The hypocrisy of Devon Winters, a mirror to Cain's sins. If Cain represents the sinner seeking salvation, Devon Winters represents the moral judge, one whose gavel often strikes with the weight of hypocrisy. On the surface, Devon's loathing for Cain is reasonable. He regards Cain's prior deceptions, his questionable money, and his tie with Colin's legacy as unredeemable stains. But the irony resides in Devon's own moral history, a past plagued with infidelity, treachery, and greed. Devon's romantic entanglements alone reflect a deep-seated hypocrisy. His romance with Abby Newman Winters not only betrayed Chance Chancellor, a man who nurtured Devon's son, Dominic, with fatherly devotion, but also damaged his relationship with Amanda Sinclair, the twin sister of his late wife, Hilary Curtis. To make matters worse, Devon's violent altercation with Nate Hastings, which terminated Nate's surgical career, remains one of his worst moments. The irony of a man capable of such cruelty, portraying himself as the moral arbitrator of redemption, is evident. Devon's unwillingness to forgive Cain thus becomes less about morality and more about projection. In condemning Cain, Devon deflects attention from his own moral shortcomings. His hatred becomes a shield, one that permits him to preserve his self-image as the victimized party rather than the flawed perpetrator. In this light, Devon's judgment of Cain evolves into a psychological protection mechanism, one that reinforces the concept of moral duality that goes through the entire Y&R tale. Cain's AI Gambit, Symbolism and Moral Consequence. The introduction of Cain's artificial intelligence tool lends a modern, even allegorical depth to his story. This AI, reported to possess the power to overcome any company's computer security system, becomes a metaphor for Cain's ambition to manage chaos, to rewrite the codes of his own life, if not those of others. Yet, as Victor Newman cautions, power obtained from corruption can never lead to redemption. Soap operas often employ technology as a stand-in for moral temptation. In this situation, Cain's AI represents both creativity and devastation. It is his forbidden fruit, an invention born of questionable methods that might either redeem him in the corporate world or destroy what remains of his reputation. Cain's choice to pursue this technology parallels his psychological urge to re-establish his identity through outward accomplishment, rather than through genuine emotional accountability. This pursuit poses key questions. Can moral corruption promote ethical innovation? And can a man truly atone for his past when the tools he employs for salvation are themselves tainted? The connections to Cain's personal life are undeniable. His desire to win Lily back, his wish to recover Devon's trust, and his struggle to separate his father's faults from his own all converge in this technical gambit. Devon and Cain, a study in contradictions. The friction between Cain and Devon is not only family, it is philosophical. Cain believes in redemption via action, through tangible efforts to put things right. Devon, on the other hand, requires moral perfection before extending forgiveness, an unattainable goal, given his own imperfect history. Their conflict underscores one of Y&R's most persistent themes, the folly of moral absolutism in a society constructed on shades of gray. Both men are products of betrayal, loss, and ambition. Both have loved profoundly and failed spectacularly, and both now stand as reflections of each other's unhealed wounds. Cain's attempts to squash the beef with Devon reflect a real wish to move ahead. Yet Devon's refusal to accept that gesture displays not strength, but insecurity. By holding on to resentment, Devon keeps control, a type of emotional domination that saves him from vulnerability. Forgiveness, after all, would mean accepting that Cain's humanity parallels his own. Parallel storylines: Tessa, Mariah, and Daniel. While Cain and Devon's story evolves as a meditation on forgiveness and hypocrisy, the parallel storyline involving Tessa Porter, Mariah Copeland, and Daniel Jr. offers a complementing investigation of emotional instability and misguided desire. Tessa's spiral into loss and confusion following Mariah's mental health difficulties underscores Y&R's increased focus on trauma and coping techniques. When Tessa visits Mariah in treatment only to find her wife emotionally unrecognizable, the encounter sparks a spiral of self-doubt and sorrow. Her following drunken kiss with Daniel is less about sexual attraction and more about emotional displacement, a cry for validation in a world where her love feels unreciprocated. Daniel's reaction, his control despite his own feelings, stands in sharp contrast to the impetuous behaviors of characters like Cain and Devon. It underlines the rare subject of emotional maturity in a genre that generally praises recklessness. Yet, the kiss nonetheless reflects the underlying loneliness that leads so many Y&R characters to self-sabotage. In this sense, Tessa's actions match Cain's. Both are driven by a desperate yearning to reconnect with lost love, even at the cost of moral compromise. Phyllis Summers and the shadow of temptation. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers adds another layer of interest to the evolving scenario. Known for her impetuous actions and chaotic love life, Phyllis finds herself on the edge of yet another dangerous undertaking. Whether her current big risk comprises a new romance, a commercial gamble, or a covert collaboration with Cain remains uncertain, but the narrative hints at a probable convergence between their tales. If Phyllis and Cain were to get romantically entwined, their union would symbolize more than simply a scandal. It would be a collision of two damaged souls seeking refuge in shared pain. Both characters are marked by their inability to escape their pasts, and their possible affair would serve as a microcosm of the greater Y&R theme, that wounded individuals often find comfort not in mending, but in mutual destruction. The psychology of forgiveness in Genoa City. Forgiveness in the young and the restless is rarely pure or altruistic. It is often weaponized, conditional, or purposefully withheld. In Cain's case, forgiveness has become a currency, something he must acquire through apparent gestures of reform. But the question remains, who decides when redemption is enough? Devon's inability to forgive Cain exposes the show's moral conundrum. While Y&R has long praised the power of second chances, Victor Newman, himself being a serial redeemer, Devon's rigidity shows the darker side of judgment. His failure to show grace not only isolates him emotionally, but also perpetuates the cycle of sorrow that defines his family's past. Conversely, Cain's quest for forgiveness is as much about self-validation as it is about moral development. His conviction that Colin redeemed himself before dying reflects his psychological need to think that bloodlines can be cleaned via atonement. In wanting to restore his father's honor, Cain is, in truth, trying to repair his own. Thematic resonance, power, shame, and legacy. At its foundation, the Cain-Devon plot examines the themes of power, shame, and legacy. Both men are plagued by the ghosts of their fathers, Colin's criminality and Neil's moral legacy, and both fight to establish themselves outside those shadows. Cain's reliance on technical progress shows a desire to attain control over an uncontrolled reality. Devon's moral superiority, meanwhile, operates as his own type of control, an emotional fortress erected to protect from remorse. Both approaches are doomed to fail unless they tackle the underlying truth, that redemption cannot be attained by domination, only through vulnerability. A glimpse into the future. As the plot unfolds, numerous different possibilities emerge. Cain's redemption arc. Cain may actually rehabilitate using his AI project for good, possibly to protect or strengthen Genoa City's business elite rather than exploit them. This would parallel his father's purported redemption and allow for an emotional reunion with Lily. Devon's reckoning. Devon may encounter a moment of moral clarity, forced to confront the hypocrisy of his judgments when his own previous misdeeds come back to haunt him, possibly through Amanda's reappearance or new revelations concerning Abby. Phyllis's involvement. Phyllis might act as both a temptation and a spur for Cain's metamorphosis. Her cooperation might push him toward moral compromise or inspire actual change, depending on how her own narrative progresses. Lily's final decision. Ultimately, Lily's response will establish the moral tone of the story. Her forgiveness will determine whether Y&R retains its heritage of atonement or turns toward a darker, more cynical realism. Conclusion. The mirror of hypocrisy. In the end, the question, is Devon being a hypocrite, has a complex answer. Yes, Devon's judgment of Cain indicates a fundamental hypocrisy, a selective morality that justifies his own misdeeds while punishing others for theirs. Yet this hypocrisy is deeply human. It represents the central fact of the young and the restless, that moral clarity is rare and forgiveness is never straightforward. Cain's path toward repentance, Devon's internal conflicts, and Lily's emotional battle all weave a tapestry of human fragility. Each character becomes a mirror, reflecting not only their individual flaws, but also the universal fact that redemption and hypocrisy often coexist. In Genoa City, as in life, the route to forgiveness is rarely straight, and sometimes it's the most flawed souls that seek it the hardest.